Please, do not give him that award yet." The applause did not stop all at once. It broke apart, first near the back of the ballroom, then through the center tables, until nearly 500 guests were sitting inside a silence nobody had expected. Andrew Kensington stood beneath the stage lights, one hand resting beside a crystal humanitarian award. Behind him, a 40-foot screen still displayed photographs of smiling families. Families his foundation had supposedly helped keep in their homes. Only seconds earlier, the host had called Andrew a hero. Now everyone was looking at the woman standing near the last row. Emily Carter held a phone in one hand. Her other hand rested against the strap of a worn shoulder bag. She had almost stayed home. Her daughter had asked why she was getting dressed after dinner, and Emily had given the safest answer she could. "There is something I need to finish." She had not said that her temporary work had ended 3 weeks earlier. She had not said 17 emails had gone unanswered. And she had not said tomorrow morning mattered more than tonight. A security employee approached her. "Ma'am, you need to remain behind the guest area." Emily swallowed. "I understand." Her voice was gentle. "But I need to speak to Mr. Kensington. Tonight is a private event." "I know." The security employee gestured toward the exit. Emily looked at the stage. Andrew had not moved. From 50 feet away, she could not read his expression clearly, but she could see that he was watching her. The host leaned toward him and whispered something. Andrew answered quietly. Then he stepped toward the microphone. "Let her speak." A ripple moved through the room. The security employee stopped. Emily closed her fingers around the phone. She had imagined this moment for days. In every version, she had felt brave. Standing there beneath hundreds of curious eyes, bravery felt much less dramatic. It felt like trying to breathe normally when your heart refused to cooperate. Emily walked toward the stage. Tables passed on either side. Crystal glasses, white flowers, black ties, evening gowns. People who had paid thousands of dollars to attend a celebration of compassion. Some watched her with concern, others with irritation. A few raised their phones. Emily kept walking. Andrew stepped down from the stage before she reached it. Up close, he looked different from the photographs in business magazines. Less polished somehow. More human. He was tall, composed, dressed in a dark tailored suit, but there was no impatience in his face. Only confusion. "Miss Carter." "Emily Carter." Andrew nodded. "All right, Miss Carter. What do you need to say?" Emily looked beyond him. At the award. At the enormous photographs of families smiling behind his name. Then back at him. "I need to ask you one question first." Andrew waited. Emily lifted the phone slightly. "Have you ever heard my voice before?" His eyebrows drew together. "I do not believe so." Emily's fingers tightened around the device. For 1 second, she almost wished he had said yes. That would have made everything simpler. Instead, she looked directly into his emerald green eyes. "Then somebody made sure you never did." The ballroom became completely still. Andrew glanced at the phone. "What is on there?" Emily unlocked the screen. An audio file waited beneath her thumb. 47 seconds. That was all it had taken to change her life. She looked at Andrew one last time. Then she pressed play. The recording began with the faint hum of an office air conditioner. Then Emily's voice filled the ballroom. "Calm. Careful. If these families meet the eligibility requirements, why are their applications being flagged?" A man answered. "You are looking at this too literally." Emily's recorded voice came again. "The documents are complete. Their income qualifies. Their housing situations qualify." A pause. Then the man sighed. "Some cases cost more than others." Andrew's expression changed. Only slightly. But Emily saw it. The recording continued. "Families needing extended assistance affect the program numbers. We have targets to maintain. They are not numbers." Emily's recorded voice sounded firmer now. "They are families." The man became quieter. "Emily, your job is to process applications, not question how the program is managed. My job is to process them honestly." Silence. Then came the sentence Emily had remembered every night since. "You have a daughter, Emily. Think carefully about how badly you need this job." The audio ended. 47 seconds. No one moved. The giant screen behind Andrew still showed a smiling mother holding apartment keys. A moment earlier, the photograph had represented hope. Now it looked like a question. Andrew stared at Emily's phone. "Who was that?" "My supervisor at Harbor Community Services." Andrew recognized the name immediately. Harbor administered part of the emergency housing program funded by his foundation. When was this recorded? 26 days ago. A woman from the foundation's executive table stood. Andrew, we should verify this privately before drawing conclusions. Emily looked toward her. The woman continued. Audio can lack context. Emily nodded. That is true. She did not argue. She did not raise her voice. Instead, she opened another folder on her phone. That is why I did not bring only the recording. Andrew stepped closer. What else do you have? Emails. How many? Emily looked at the screen. 17. A murmur traveled through the ballroom. Andrew's eyes lifted to hers. 17 emails to whom? My supervisor first. Then Harbor Compliance. She swiped slowly. Then the foundation. The woman near the executive table became still. Emily continued. The first email explained the application pattern. The second included case examples with personal information removed. The fourth requested an independent review. Andrew listened without interrupting. The ninth included the recording you just heard. Emily swiped again. And the last three went directly to your executive office. Andrew's face lost its practiced calm. My office? Yes. When? 3 weeks ago. He glanced toward his chief of staff. The man was already checking his phone. Andrew looked back at Emily. Did anyone respond? Every message received an automated confirmation. That is not what I asked. Emily held his gaze. No, the answer landed harder than the recording. Andrew turned toward the foundation executive. Were these emails received? I do not know. Find out. She hesitated. Andrew, this is not the appropriate setting for an internal compliance discussion. He looked around the ballroom. 500 people had just applauded him for a program that might have ignored the very families it claimed to protect. Then he looked at the Crystal Award waiting beneath the lights. I think the setting became appropriate when we decided to celebrate ourselves. No one answered. Emily lowered her phone. For the first time that evening, Andrew looked less like the man whose photograph appeared on foundation brochures. He looked like someone realizing there was a locked door inside his own house, and he had never known it was there. Then his chief of staff approached. His face was pale. Andrew. Andrew turned. We found the emails. Emily closed her eyes for one brief second. Andrew asked the only question that mattered. Why did I never see them? Andrew's chief of staff did not answer immediately. That silence told Emily more than words could have. Andrew stepped away from the microphone. Why did I never see them? His voice remained controlled, but something underneath it had changed. The chief of staff lowered his phone. The messages were routed through the foundation's escalation system. 3 reached the executive office queue, but they were marked as contractor-level compliance matters. By whom? We are checking. Andrew looked toward the foundation executive. She seemed suddenly interested in the papers on her table. Emily watched him carefully. This was the moment she had feared most. Not because Andrew had raised his voice. He had not. But powerful people had choices ordinary people rarely did. They could confront an uncomfortable truth or make it disappear behind procedure. Andrew turned back to Emily. You said they fired you. Yes. When? 2 days after my final email. What reason did they give? Emily unlocked her phone again. She found the termination notice. Failure to support organizational priorities. A few people in the ballroom shifted uncomfortably. Andrew repeated the phrase quietly. Organizational priorities. Emily nodded. I asked what that meant. And they told me the decision was final. Andrew's eyes dropped to her phone. Do you want your job back? Emily had expected the question. No, that surprised him. Compensation. No, Andrew studied her. Then why are you here? Emily looked toward the giant screen. The photographs had stopped cycling. One image remained frozen behind Andrew. A mother and 2 children standing inside a newly furnished apartment. Emily stared at it for a moment. That family deserved help. Andrew followed her gaze. So did the families who never made it into your video. The room went still again. Emily opened a spreadsheet. Rows filled the screen. Application numbers. Dates. Eligibility notes. No dramatic photographs. No polished testimonials. Just records. Andrew stepped closer. What is that? 43 families. His expression tightened. Emily continued. They submitted complete applications. Based on the program guidelines I was trained to use, they qualified for assistance. Were they denied? Some were delayed. Some were flagged for additional review. And the others? Emily drew a slow breath. Their assistance is scheduled to end tomorrow morning. Andrew looked at her. Tomorrow. Yes. The word barely needed volume. Emily scrolled through the records. One family has 3 children. Another includes a grandmother on a fixed income. There are single parents, hourly workers, people who did everything the program asked them to do. Andrew glanced toward his executive team. Can we verify this? The foundation executive stood. We need time. How much? I cannot answer that without reviewing the cases. Emily looked at Andrew. That is the problem. He turned back to her. They had been waiting while everyone else asked for more time. Emily's voice softened. I did not come here because I lost my job. A pause. I can find another job. Her fingers rested around the phone. I came because tomorrow morning, 43 families may lose help they were told they could depend on, and most of them do not know it yet. Andrew looked toward the award. The crystal caught the stage light beautifully. A hero's name was already engraved into it. His. The host waited nearby, uncertain whether the ceremony would continue. Andrew slowly walked back onto the stage. For 1 second, Emily wondered whether everything she had said was about to become another carefully managed announcement. Andrew reached the podium. He looked at the award, then at the audience. Finally, he looked at Emily. Before anyone applauds me again, he said, I think we need to find out who we forgot to listen to. No one applauded. Andrew stood behind the podium while the ballroom waited for him to decide what kind of man he would be when the flattering version of the story was no longer available. He looked toward his chief of staff. Can the pending terminations be placed on administrative hold tonight? The foundation executive stepped forward. Andrew, we need legal review before making commitments from a stage. I am not asking for a commitment. His voice stayed even. I am asking whether we have authority to pause them while eligibility is independently reviewed. The chief of staff checked his phone. Our emergency provisions allow a temporary hold if there is credible evidence of a processing failure. Andrew glanced toward Emily. I think we have credible evidence. The executive lowered her voice. There are 500 donors in this room. Andrew looked across the ballroom. I know. Then his eyes returned to the photographs behind him. That is exactly why we should be careful about pretending everything worked. He reached for the crystal award. For 1 second, Emily thought he was going to accept it. Instead, Andrew lifted it from the presentation stand and placed it gently on a table behind the podium. Please do not give me this tonight. A murmur moved through the guests. The host stared at him. Andrew continued. The families this program helped deserve to be celebrated. But if other qualified families were ignored because their needs made our numbers less attractive, then I have nothing to celebrate until we understand what happened. Emily watched him from below the stage. This was not what she had expected. She had prepared herself for denial. For lawyers. For someone explaining why 17 unanswered emails were technically not Andrew's responsibility. Instead, he was standing beneath his own name and refusing the easiest version of himself. Andrew turned toward his chief of staff. Place all 43 cases on temporary administrative hold tonight. No assistance ends tomorrow while those files are under review. The man nodded. I will contact compliance and counsel now. And the review cannot be handled by Harbor. Understood. The foundation executive stepped closer. We should continue this conversation privately. Andrew looked at Emily. Yes. Then he added, with Miss Carter included. Emily's shoulders tightened. Andrew noticed. He stepped down from the stage. I am not asking you to trust me. The word surprised her. I am asking you to help us understand what we failed to see. Emily looked at the people seated around them, then at the phone still in her hand. You are still asking the wrong person. Andrew paused. Emily opened the spreadsheet again. Ask them. She turned the screen toward him. The families. Andrew looked at the rows. Some of these people may not want to speak to the foundation. They probably will not. Then how do we learn what happened? Emily held his gaze. You give them a way to speak without needing your permission. That stopped him. Behind them, the abandoned award remained under the stage lights. Andrew looked toward his chief of staff. Set up an independent review team. Outside counsel, outside compliance, and family representatives. The executive began to object. Andrew raised one hand. Not sharply. Just enough. No public relations staff in the review. Emily studied him. And no success stories selected by the foundation. Andrew nodded. No selected stories. A long silence followed. Then Emily finally lowered her phone. The device had carried 17 unanswered emails, one recording, and 43 names into a room built to celebrate success. Now, for the first time, someone with the power to change what happened next was listening. Andrew looked at her. Will you help us contact them? Emily considered the question. I will help them decide whether they want to contact you. Andrew absorbed the distinction. Then he nodded. That is fair. Emily looked toward the crystal award he had left behind. She had walked into the ballroom, believing the hardest thing would be making a powerful man hear the truth. She was beginning to realize something else. Hearing it was only the beginning. By 9 the next morning, the 43 cases were still active. Emily learned that from her phone. A message from an independent compliance attorney arrived while she stood in her small kitchen pouring cereal for her daughter. Temporary hold confirmed. Emily read it twice. Her daughter looked up. Good news. Emily set the phone down. I think it might be. She smiled, but carefully. A pause was not a solution. It was time. And sometimes, time was the first thing a struggling family needed. By noon, Emily was sitting inside a modest conference room 3 floors below the Kensington Foundation offices. Andrew was already there. No stage, no award, no applause. Just a long table, paper cups of coffee, 2 outside attorneys, an independent compliance specialist, and 43 case files waiting to become people again. Andrew stood when Emily entered. Thank you for coming. I said I would help them decide whether they wanted to speak. I remember. That mattered. Emily sat. Andrew did not ask her to sit beside him. He did not place her at the head of the table. He simply opened a notebook. Where do we start? Emily looked at the files. With the people who were hardest to approve. One attorney frowned. Would it not make more sense to begin with the clearest eligibility cases? That is how this happened. The room became quiet. Emily pointed toward the folders. If you start with the easiest families, your numbers look good again. Andrew stopped writing. Emily continued. Start with the people who needed more time, more documentation, more support. Find out whether complexity became a reason to push them aside. Andrew looked at the compliance specialist. Do that. The first family agreed to speak by phone. A grandmother caring for 2 grandchildren. She explained that she had submitted every document requested, then received 3 different notices asking for information she had already provided. Andrew listened. He asked one question. Did anyone explain why? No, sir. The second call came from a father working 2 jobs. He had missed one appointment because his shift changed unexpectedly. His application had been flagged as non-responsive. I called the next morning, he said. Nobody called back. Andrew's pen stopped. The third family was a single mother. She kept her receipts inside a grocery store envelope because she did not own a printer and could not afford to lose anything. Emily watched Andrew as the woman described taking 2 buses to deliver paperwork in person. No one in the room spoke for several seconds after the call ended. Andrew finally looked at the case summary. Insufficient client engagement. He read it again. Then quietly. She took 2 buses. Emily nodded. And the report turned that into 4 words. Andrew leaned back. For the first time, he seemed to understand the problem beyond the unanswered emails. The system had not only ignored people, it had translated their lives into language clean enough that nobody upstairs had to feel uncomfortable. By late afternoon, 12 families had spoken. 9 showed clear inconsistencies between what they remembered and what their files recorded. Andrew closed his notebook. We need every case reviewed. The outside attorney nodded. That could take several weeks. Then the holds remain. The attorney glanced toward the projected program budget. There may be significant cost exposure. Andrew looked at him, then calculated. Emily watched him, not impressed. Not yet. She had learned that promises sounded different before invoices arrived. Andrew seemed to read that in her expression. What? Emily hesitated. Yesterday, walking away from an award was easy. His eyebrows lifted slightly. She looked at the 43 folders. This is the part that costs something. Andrew was silent. Then he nodded. You are right. Emily gathered her phone. Andrew looked at the files again. What would you do next? She paused at the door. Stop asking how many families the program saved. Andrew waited. Emily looked back at him. Ask how many disappeared from the report because helping them was inconvenient. The first real answer arrived 48 hours later. Andrew was standing beside the conference room window when the independent compliance attorney placed a thick folder on the table. We found the pattern. Emily looked up from her phone. Andrew turned. How bad? The attorney hesitated. Worse than the 43 cases. Silence settled over the room. The review had expanded after investigators compared application records, call logs, and internal performance reports from the previous 12 months. Families requiring longer assistance had been flagged more often. Applications needing additional staff time had moved more slowly. Missed appointments had been documented without the follow-up calls that employees claimed they had made. And difficult cases had quietly disappeared from the numbers used to measure success. Andrew opened the folder. How many? We are still verifying. That was not my question. The attorney met his eyes. At least 81 cases require immediate review. Emily stopped breathing for a beat. 81. Yesterday, 43 had felt enormous. Now even that number seemed incomplete. Andrew turned another page. Who authorized this? We have not found a written instruction telling employees to deny eligible families. Emily watched him carefully. The attorney continued. What we found is more subtle. Managers were rewarded for faster processing, lower average assistance costs, and stronger completion rates. Andrew's expression hardened. So expensive cases hurt their numbers? Yes. And complicated cases slowed them down? Yes. Emily looked at the report. No one had to tell them which families to avoid. The attorney nodded. The incentives did it for them. That sentence changed the room. There was no single memo Andrew could tear up. No one sentence he could point to and call the entire problem. The failure had been built into ordinary decisions. Spreadsheets, targets, performance reviews, things that looked harmless from far enough away. Andrew sat down. I approved those performance targets. Emily looked at him. The attorney spoke carefully. You approved the framework. There is no evidence you knew how Harbor was applying it. Andrew shook his head. That distinction matters legally. He closed the folder. It matters less to the families. Emily said nothing. For once, Andrew did not need her to explain it. His phone rang. He answered. Yes. A long pause. Emily watched his expression change. I understand the financial exposure. Another pause. No, we are not ending the review. He listened, then revised the budget. Andrew ended the call. Emily leaned back. How much? Potentially several $1 million if the review expands and additional assistance is restored. There it was. The cost she had warned him about. Not applause. Not reputation. Money. Andrew looked at the 81 cases. The holds remain. Emily studied his face. You did not hesitate. I already hesitated. She frowned. When? For months. Andrew tapped the report lightly. I just did not know I was doing it. That answer stayed with her. Later that afternoon, another family joined the review by video call. A mother appeared on screen from a small kitchen. Her son sat at the table behind her doing homework. She explained that her application had been delayed twice because documents were supposedly missing. I sent them, she said. 3 times. Andrew asked, do you still have proof? The woman lifted her phone. Every confirmation. Emily almost smiled. Another phone. Another person who had learned to keep evidence because being truthful had not been enough. When the call ended, Andrew remained staring at the blank screen. Emily gathered her things. You know what the next report needs? Andrew looked at her. What? Names. He waited. Not for the public version. For you. Emily pointed toward the folders. Read who these people are before you read what they cost. Andrew looked down at the first file. Then he opened it again. This time, he did not begin with the financial summary. He began with the family. And for the first time since Emily had walked onto that stage, the numbers started becoming people. 3 days later, Andrew walked into a community room where nobody stood up for him. There was no stage, no microphone, no polished video playing behind his name. Just folding chairs, fluorescent lights, paper cups of coffee, and families who had spent months wondering why a program built to help them had become another door they could not open. Emily was already there. She sat beside an older woman named Margaret, helping her organize a stack of notices by date. Andrew stopped near the entrance. His chief of staff moved toward the front. Andrew quietly shook his head. Back here is fine. Emily noticed. She said nothing. The independent attorney opened the meeting. You can speak if you want to. You can submit documents without speaking. Nothing said here will affect your eligibility. For several seconds, nobody moved. Then Margaret raised her hand. Her voice trembled slightly. I was asked for the same bank statement 4 times. She held up a folder. I brought it every time. Andrew opened his notebook. Margaret looked directly at him. Do you know what it feels like when someone keeps asking you to prove something you already proved? Andrew stopped writing. No, ma'am. The answer was simple. No excuse followed it. Margaret nodded. At least that is an honest answer. Another man spoke next. He worked overnight maintenance at a hospital. His appointment had been scheduled for 10 in the morning after a 12-hour shift. When a subway delay made him 20 minutes late, his file was marked non-responsive. I called 6 times, he said. The official record showed 1 call. Andrew looked toward the compliance specialist. Can we verify the phone logs? We already did. And 6 calls. Andrew lowered his eyes. One by one, the clean language inside the reports began to fall apart. Non-responsive meant exhausted. Incomplete meant confused. High cost meant a family needed help longer than someone wanted them to. Emily watched Andrew listen, not perform. Listen. Then a young mother stood near the second row. She held a grocery store envelope against her chest. My printer broke last year. She opened it carefully. Inside were receipts, confirmation numbers, handwritten dates, and copies made at the public library. I kept everything. Andrew looked at the envelope. May I ask why? The woman gave a small, tired smile. Because after a while, I realized nobody believed me unless I could prove every conversation. Emily felt something tighten in her chest. Her own phone rested inside her bag. 17 emails. 47 seconds. Proof she had never expected to need. Andrew glanced toward her. For one brief moment, they understood the same thing. The families in that room had not become careful because the system worked. They had become careful because it did not. After 2 hours, Andrew's notebook was nearly full. He closed it. I owe you an apology. Emily looked at him sharply. Andrew continued. But an apology does not restore assistance, correct records, or change incentives. Margaret folded her hands. No, it does not. So that is where we start. He turned toward the independent attorney. Every disputed case gets a human review. No automated closure based on a missed appointment without documented follow-up. No performance bonus tied only to speed or cost. The attorney nodded. Andrew looked around the room. And no family should need 17 emails to reach someone who can listen. Emily lowered her eyes. He had remembered. After the meeting, she found Andrew stacking empty chairs with 2 volunteers. You know somebody else can do that, she said. Andrew glanced at the chair in his hands. I know. Emily almost smiled. Then she looked toward the families leaving with their folders and grocery envelopes. This still does not make you the hero. Andrew set the chair down. Good. She studied him. He looked toward the door where Margaret had just disappeared. I think that word was getting in the way. 2 weeks later, the investigation stopped being a question. It became a record. The independent review confirmed that Harbor Community Services had repeatedly prioritized faster, less expensive cases while allowing more complicated families to drift toward delays, closures, and administrative dead ends. No single document contained the words, "Deny these people." It had been quieter than that. Performance targets rewarded speed. Budgets rewarded lower costs. Managers rewarded employees who produced cleaner numbers. And eventually, the numbers had learned how to hide people. Andrew read the final report alone first. Then he asked Emily to read it before the board meeting. She sat across from him in the same conference room where 43 folders had once covered the table. Now there were 81. Some had green tabs, some yellow, a few red. Emily reached the final page. Harbor knew. Andrew nodded. Senior management knew the incentives were affecting case decisions. And your foundation? Andrew did not look away. Failed to detect it. Emily closed the report. He could have said Harbor betrayed us. He could have said nobody told me. Both statements would have contained some truth. Instead, he said, my name was on the program. Responsibility does not disappear because information stopped before it reached my desk. Emily studied him quietly. What happens now? Harbor's contract ends. And the families? Every eligible case receives restored assistance. Improper closures are reversed. Any family that paid qualifying housing costs during an incorrect interruption will be reviewed for reimbursement. Emily nodded once. And the incentives? Gone. Andrew slid another document toward her. A new oversight structure. Independent appeals. Documented follow-up requirements. Family representatives with direct access to the compliance committee. Emily read slowly. Then she stopped. My name is here. Andrew leaned back. The board wants to offer you a position. As what? Community liaison. Emily almost laughed. No, Andrew blinked. That was fast. It sounds like a person you put in photographs, so everyone knows you listened. Andrew considered that. That is fair. Emily pushed the document back. If families are going to have representatives, they need actual authority. What kind? The right to flag cases for independent review, access to complaint data, a seat in quarterly oversight meetings. Andrew picked up his pen. And protection from the public relations department, Emily added. He looked up. That specific? Very. A faint smile touched his face. Very specific. At the board meeting that afternoon, Andrew presented the investigation without softening it. The foundation had failed. The contractor had manipulated the system. Families had been harmed by decisions designed to make performance look better than reality. Then a board member asked the question everyone expected. How do we announce the reforms? Andrew looked at the communications proposal in front of him. The headline praised his decisive leadership. He turned the page face down. We do not announce this as my reform. The room became quiet. Another board member frowned. You are the chairman. That is exactly the problem. Andrew glanced toward Emily, seated with the independent reviewers. This story does not need another hero. Emily said nothing. She did not need to. 3 days later, Harbor's contract was formally terminated. The first restored assistance notices went out that morning. At 7:16, Emily's phone vibrated. A message from Margaret. They approved my case. Emily stared at the words. No speech, no ballroom, no crystal award. Just 5 ordinary words on a small screen. She closed her eyes and smiled. For months, that phone had carried silence. Now it was beginning to carry answers. 3 months later, Emily's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. She almost ignored it. Her daughter was sitting at the table, carefully coloring a yellow sun above a house with windows that were far too large. Mom, should the door be blue or green? Emily smiled. Green. Why? Because you like green. Her daughter considered this perfectly reasonable and returned to her drawing. Emily picked up the phone. The message came from the new independent family advocacy system. Case escalation received. Review scheduled. She read it again. There had been a time when messages like that disappeared into automated inboxes. Now, every escalation received a tracking number, a review deadline, and the name of the person responsible for answering it. Emily opened the case. A father with 2 children had challenged an eligibility decision that morning. Less than 4 hours later, someone had acknowledged him. It was not dramatic. That was what Emily loved about it. Justice did not always arrive beneath chandeliers. Sometimes, it arrived as a simple message saying, "We heard you." The advocacy board had accepted every condition Emily requested. Family representatives could flag cases independently. They could review complaint patterns. They attended quarterly oversight meetings. And no communications executive could remove an uncomfortable case from their reports. Emily had accepted a seat. Not because Andrew asked her to stand beside him, because the families had asked her to sit beside them. Across Manhattan, Andrew was finishing another long day. His office looked almost unchanged. The same windows, the same walnut desk, the same city stretching beneath him. But one object was missing, the humanitarian award. His assistant had asked twice whether he wanted it displayed after the organization offered to send it to him privately. Andrew had declined. The crystal trophy remained inside its storage box. Not because he believed he had done nothing good. He had learned something harder than that. Doing good did not make a person incapable of failing someone. A knock came at his door. His chief of staff entered with the quarterly oversight report. Complaint response time is down significantly. Andrew took the folder. And unresolved appeals? Also down. Families restored after review? 27 this quarter. Andrew nodded. Then he opened the report. The first page did not contain financial performance. It contained names. That had been Emily's idea. He read them. Every one. Later that week, Emily attended the quarterly meeting. Andrew was already seated when she entered. No one stood. No one needed to. Emily placed her phone beside her notebook. Andrew noticed it. Still keeping everything? Everything important. He smiled. I would expect nothing less. The meeting lasted 90 minutes. They disagreed twice. Emily challenged one proposed deadline. Andrew changed another reporting rule after a family representative explained why it created unnecessary confusion. Nobody applauded. Work rarely came with applause. When the meeting ended, Emily collected her things. Andrew walked with her toward the elevator. You know, he said, people still ask me about that night. Emily pressed the elevator button. What do you tell them? that I was about to accept an award for listening to families. He paused, and then a woman with a phone showed everyone I had not been listening closely enough. The elevator arrived. Emily looked at him. You listened eventually. Andrew nodded. Because you made it impossible not to. Emily stepped inside. No, the doors began to close. I just gave you the truth. She held his gaze. You decided what to do with it. That evening, Emily's phone buzzed again. The father's appeal had been reviewed. Assistants approved. She set the phone beside her daughter's drawing. Once, that small device had carried 17 messages into silence. Now it carried answers home. And somewhere between the award Andrew never accepted and the message someone finally answered, both of them had learned the same quiet truth. Being called a hero was easy. Becoming worthy of someone's trust was the harder thing.